This Slowking has an attack called Seek Inspiration that unlocks the best single prize attacks without having to fulfill their crazy energy costs. For just 2 energy, you can use any non-rulebox Pokemon's attack as long as you place it at the top of your deck. This can be done with either Academy at Night or Ciphermaniacs Codebreaking, and it's kind of like using Regigigas, but doesn't require the hassle of finding 2 grass and a fire energy, and you aren't limited to just dragon Pokemon. Energy actually comes pretty easy in this deck, with Xatu here to accelerate energy while drawing cards. Jet Energy and Latias are also options, so you can slot in support Pokemon after a knockout, use their abilities, and then get them out of the way. Using this deck feels like we're reaching into the multiverse of non-rulebox attacks and picking out the ones that fit your exact situation. It's the reason this deck lacks gusting cards, because most of the time you can either deal with the Pokemon that's right in front of you, or just take shots at the bench. Like Regigigas, for example, here, which is the new card from Prismatic Evolutions that I'm sure none of us have actually seen in person, but the Jewel Breaker attack does 100 damage normally, and then another 230 if you're attacking a Terra Pokemon, meaning you can take out a Charizard just in one shot, which is wild. We also have Conkeldurr here if we want to do 250 damage. We also have Kyurem in this deck that we can absolutely abuse and use several times in a row to just take things out on the bench. Annihilate is a really helpful option to take out any non-Terra huge HP Pokemon. Or Zoroark, which I don't use super often, but if you're playing something like Raging Bolt that has a lot of EX Pokemon in play, this can do a lot of damage. We have a Crobat for maybe another month and a half until it rotates, but it's basically just here to punish Budew. So sometimes I'll allow their Budew to sit on the bench until there's only 3 prize cards remaining and then just come through with Crobat and end the game. We landed on using a bunch of Ciphermaniacs Codebreaking in this deck just in case we're not able to get to our Academy at Night, but 4 might be a little bit overkill. I might go down to maybe 2 to have just in case. You can usually find it with Tatsugiri when you need it, but I have 4 in here just to make sure I could get to my attacks. And then we have Max Rod as probably the best ace spec for this deck, as it allows you to find 5 Pokemon or energy in any combination from your discard pile and put them straight back into your hand. So this can help you set up a Slowking, get energy attached to it, and find your actual attacker all in one card, which is great. This is the final deck list that I landed on after some testing. You'll notice some cards like Latias or Annihilate didn't make it for this round, but I'm sure this deck will continue to change as we gain new attackers or lose cards like Crobat after rotation. And I have to give a shout out to the inspiration for this video, which was a comment on my last video by Me duele la dignidad y orgullo, which I probably butchered. But when I put this in Google Translate, it said, "It hurts my dignity and pride," which is deep, very deep name. But anyways, thank you for the inspiration for this video. And if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button below. I'm always trying to improve my videos to make content that people actually want to see, and the like button helps let me know what to make more of. And I have some good games to talk over top of here. Let me know how you feel about this slightly sped up format instead of watching me play live. This first game is mostly about abusing Kyurem, which is fun, but game 2 is a really good back and forth, so stay tuned for that. So in this game number 1, we start out with a Budew, which is great. I always want to start with Budew in these games to try and item lock first and stall my opponent. So that's why I want to go second, so I can be the first one to attack and do so. They also put down a Budew, but otherwise they have an Azelf in the active slot and then a Snorunt on the bench. So looks like they're going to try and get the Lake Guardian trio out and then go for Frostlass and put damage on anything that we have that has an ability. I'm sure they'll have a Monkey that comes out at some point, but setting up here, I'm just thinking about Kyurem because everything on their bench, even when evolved, will be in the range of Kyurem. We're going to do some prize checking, make sure everything's in here, but a pretty slow turn 1. We're just going to go ahead and Budew, and then hope we can get to maybe a new hand in turn number 2 because there's not too much. I want to get to a couple evolutions here for Slowking and for Xatu. So I kind of need some of that and a little bit of energy to get more set up here, but hoping that I can lean on Budew for a moment to buy us some time. They'll go ahead and attach some energy, and then thankfully they will Iono and give us a completely fresh hand, so helps them, also helps us. And now we're looking at another Budew. We have a Latias here, and then another Iono if we need an even newer set of hands on our turn. A couple energy though, so Kyurem is the card that I want to get to, but I don't have a way to attack at the moment. So it looks like what I'll want to do here is put down Academy at Night before I Iono just to make sure we have the stadium down. And then I consider this Latias. No reason for it really right now because it's just putting a 2-prizer on the board. when I have a free retreat in Budew, so I do consider it a couple times, but I don't believe I actually end up putting down the Latias. We do attach just because I don't know what's going to end up in our next hand, or if we're going to be able to get the energy we need for a possible attack on this turn. We get another Buddy Buddy Poffin, so we'll continue setting up with a couple more of these just in case we lose one of our Slowking. And we'll get Tatsugiri down because it doesn't look like we're going to get to an attack on this turn. So if they knock out our Budew on the next turn, we can promote Tatsugiri, use its ability to grab a supporter, and maybe that can help speed up our game a little bit. So we have what we want on the bench, and there's the Conkeldurr across the way to move some damage, probably knock out our Budew. And we'll go from there. So they have an Irida right now. They're probably looking for their Frostlass to be able to evolve. And then they'll start putting some damage counters on Tatsugiri. And I think Xatu when that comes out. But I'm not really too worried about that in this deck because as long as I can get an attack here pretty soon with Kyurem, we're just going to wipe their bench. So they will go ahead and use that attack to take out Azelf. They weren't able to get to a Dark Energy on Conkeldurr, which is what I thought they were going to do. So luckily they don't get to knock out Budew and also attack. They'll put down their damage counters, and then it'll come back to us. So we do have Lana's Aid here as an option, but there's not too much in our discard pile. I think we're going to go ahead and put down this Fezandipiti just so we can draw some more cards. I don't remember if I Fezandipiti first or Tatsugiri. I probably should flip the script first, but I'm going to go ahead and Professor's Research instead. And then I'm feeling pretty confident now between a flip the script and a Professor's Research that I'll be able to find Slowking in some way. So there's a Xatu. We'll be able to accelerate some energy here, draw some cards that way. We also have flipped the script. So now I'm feeling pretty good that I'm going to get to an attack. There's another Ultra Ball. We're just going to keep on drawing cards and attaching here and setting up. Okay, and there's the Kyurem we need. So now all we need is a Slowking to be able to do our first attack. We have plenty of Academy at Night, and I'm thinking this game is only going to be long enough to do 2 attacks. If I can get this Kyurem back in some way or get our other Kyurem out of the deck because we run 2, then this game will be over. So we'll go ahead and do our Kyurem attack here. We don't even flip the script. I probably could have and should have flipped the script since I put it down. There was no reason to put that Fezandipiti down, it seems. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and take out the Conkeldurr, take out the Frostlass, and then the other Snorunt so they can't get to another Frostlass. I want to leave that Budew just in case I need to do a Crobat attack instead of Kyurem, because now I can just Kyurem for the win or take out the Budew, since that's a 3 prize takeaway, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, doing 30 damage with Crobat and ending the game for 3 prize cards. So we'll see what they want to go for here. They're going to get out a couple more Snorunt, go for an Arven. Yeah, I think we just have quite the advantage with our deck over theirs, seeing that our attacks basically wipe their entire bench and make them start over. And I'm happy to leave this Azelf here alone in the attacking spot for the entire game because it's really not doing too much damage to us. I'm not worried about it. I'd rather just take out everything behind it. Not much they can get to here. So they just go ahead and slap down their 20 damage, and luckily I top deck straight into our max rod. So now the only thing we need to do is get this Slowking evolved on our bench because that's the one with the energy. We had to discard our energy from the last Kyurem attack. But we have plenty of Ultra Balls in hand, and then that max rod will help us pull Kyurem back out of the discard pile to do it once more. We could probably also use an Ultra Ball to get our Crobat out as we were talking about, but since we have a single card that will pull things, well, I guess they're both in the discard pile. So now we have the option. We can either Kyurem or Crobat. We're going to go ahead and Academy at Night our Kyurem and just wipe the bench in this way. So we had options here, but pretty fun to just abuse Kyurem over and over again and take out their bench, ignore the thing in the active spot, and just roll through them in this way. So fun to be able to abuse that attack. And this is a game I'm excited to talk over because it's a more meta relevant deck that we're playing against, and we really get to test out Slowking. So Ceruledge and Palkia has been a pretty good combination that we've seen at regional tournaments and we know is pretty successful. So they're going to start out by trying to discard as many energy as possible to raise Cerulege's attack. And again, they don't really need to do that against Slowking. They might not know what we're playing yet. So they're going to go ahead and just try and discard all of their energies. Squawkabilly here on the bench will help them do that, as will Radiant Greninja. So they're getting all of their support Pokemon set up as they should. And I believe they get to a Palkia here as well as a pretty good setup. But yeah, we're going to need to use this Budew Poffin on our bench to start with our setup, as well as maybe a Drayton, just so I don't discard too much. The right answer might actually be Professor's Research, but I don't think that's what I do in this game. So there's their Palkia. They also put down a Jamming Tower, which I don't use any tools, so that doesn't really matter. They might have just been trying to thin their hand. But we're going to go ahead and get a Natu and a Ciphermaniacs Codebreaking with Drayton, just so we can have maybe another way to attack if we keep this hand. But we'll Budew Poffin. I don't believe Budew is what we want here. Put that back. There we go. So we get 2 Slowpoke because what we're playing against, they don't really need to evolve using rare candies or anything like that. So I'd rather get a better setup for myself instead of trying to Budew them. And again, it's not like they need to discard a bunch more energy or anything like that to knock me out. They have enough already. So I don't think Budew is as impactful as having a second Slowpoke here. But I think that was a Judge we just got, not Iono. So some of our hand goes away, which is fine, I guess, because we draw straight into a Xatu, an Energy, and then an Academy at Night, and another Budew Poffin. So honestly, as far as Judges go, that was pretty helpful for us. So we're going to get a Xatu on the board and be able to accelerate some energy. Looks like we're going to lose this Natu unless they boss up a Slowpoke here, which I do not remember. But yeah, I think they used a supporter already, and they're pulling out another one with Lumineon. So if I have a chance to Iono, that might not be a bad move. Professor's Research. I was just checking to see how many cards they had discarded to see how much damage they were doing, but that shows us it was plenty. So we'll see what we top deck here. Ciphermaniacs Codebreaking, which is good for our attack, but we also have Academy at Night. But we'll go ahead and accelerate our energy, draw a couple more cards. We get Lana's Aid and an Ultra Ball. So we could get some things back from the discard pile, but there's nothing in the discard pile really, so not really an option here. We could Budew Poffin to get out some more setup Pokemon. I think just the Tatsugiri. Nope, we went with the Budew as well, just in case maybe we needed a free retreat later. I guess that's not a bad idea to put on the bench, but Tatsugiri will help us grab a supporter in the future, and that's all we're going to get to. I think we could have Ultra Balled with that Lana's Aid and thrown out something else to get to a Slowking, but I knew I didn't have an attack otherwise. Didn't have another way to get to a Pokemon in my hand, or that second energy that we needed, so we're not going to do too much throwing away if we can't get to the attack anyways. I think Budew is actually pretty safe here to have on our bench because they're not threatening any bench damage, so it is there that I can push forward and have a free retreat at some point in the future, because Clairvoyant Sense only attaches energy to your bench Pokemon, so if you push forward the Pokemon you want to attach to, you can't use that to attach your energy. So a free retreat is nice there with Budew, but we also have Tatsugiri to be able to grab a supporter. So a bit of a slower start here. It's not looking great earlier on as I'm having trouble getting my setup, but luckily there's some pretty big comeback potential in this deck. We go ahead and look at Tatsugiri for luckily a Professor's Research, because this hand wasn't doing it for us. So we can make sure doesn't matter what we toss here because we're going to Professor's Research anyways, but we want to get to our Slowking. So now we have our attacker, so we just need to find an energy and an attacker with this Professor's Research. We find plenty of energy, which is great, but we also need to be able to get into the active slot. So maybe we can get a Jet Energy or something, and no Jet Energy off the Clairvoyant Sense, so we're going to have to retreat this Tatsugiri to be able to get Slowking into the active, and then we can just use this Ultra Ball to find our attacker. So since we're looking at a pretty set up Cerulege in front of us, I believe we just want to take that out with Regigigas. And I think I was considering using a Kyurem at this stage because I could put damage on Squawkabilly, on Lumineon, and maybe even Palkia to set up like a 2-turn Kyurem win in that way. That would get completely stopped if they put down a Manaphy, because then I would lose my second Kyurem attack, and also if they evolve this Palkia, then I don't knock it out with just another Kyurem anymore. So I think I decided just to go the route of knocking out what was right in front of me and make them use another Ceruledge. So I think, yeah, if I was to use Kyurem as well, which I have in my hand, I would also discard all of the energy from it, so I'd have to set up another one completely, and this is going to get knocked out probably anyways, but always thought there was the chance that maybe I have a second attack with it. But yeah, I felt like it was a little risky, and I would have to set up a third attack anyways if I used Kyurem, because I was pretty sure that Palkia on the bench was going to get evolved into a Palkia V-Star. So I thought that was risky, thought it was better to just go for what was right in front of me instead. But they were easily able to set up another Ceruledge to knock out this Slowking. Now the good thing here is that we're trading 2 for 1. So they had a huge head start getting 2 prize cards on us. We took out one of their Ceruledges to even it out. When they knock out this Slowking, if we have a response that takes out their Ceruledge, now we're ahead in prize cards just because we're trading 2 for 1. So that's a beautiful thing about this deck, is they are only looking at single prizers on our board, and they're not threatening much bench damage besides now this Monkey Dory that they put down. And there's a Fezandipiti. So now we're looking at the potential Fezandipiti Kyurem play to knock that out in 2 hits. Or, you know, Conkeldurr can knock out any of that stuff as they put down more V and EX Pokemon. Zoroark comes into play. So we have options here. I know I have a Professor's Research in my hand and a Ciphermaniac, so no reason to go with Tatsugiri and look for another supporter. But we're going to start out by just drawing some more cards with Clairvoyant Sense. We get a Night Stretcher, which is helpful. So we can go ahead and get back either our Slowking or Regigigas here if I want to take out that Ceruledge in front of us once again. And I think that might be the play here, is to try and get to Regigigas once more. And luckily, we draw straight into a Night Stretcher with that Professor's Research, so a little bit of a gamble. I don't think Conkeldurr would have done it because that does 250 damage. Against this Ceruledge is 270 HP, so free retreat and Budew is great. We can go ahead and put our second energy on it. And then we'll go ahead and get our Regigigas back. And I'm assuming this is the last time I use Regigigas because I don't think they're going to have any more Terra Pokemon. So luckily we're able to get to this once again, take out their biggest threat in front of us. And then maybe a Kyurem at the end of the game can take out a Monkey Dory. And might actually just be Monkey Dory. So it would take 2 Kyurem attacks to do that, but it would at least knock down something to a more knockoutable range. We're able to get more Slowking out of our prize cards, and they just push forward a Greninja here. So now, you know, I hadn't really considered this before, but they still have Palkia on their bench. If they're able to evolve that, they can accelerate 2 energy to Radiant Greninja and possibly be able to take out 2 of our bench Pokemon. So that's not fantastic, but if they do that, I believe they leave our active as it is, and I can just take another attack. So I was a little bit worried here that that's what they were going to be able to do. I was checking how much damage Radiant Greninja's second attack does, but luckily they're not able to get to it. So they whiff a little bit on the Palkia V-Star, or the extra energy that they needed to accelerate to be able to do that attack. And I'm able to get away scot-free here. So in my hand, I think instead of gambling on this turn and trying to find something else, I could have Ciphermaniacs to pull something else out of the deck that I knew was in there. But I think I knew I had a Conkeldurr right in front of us. I could get down to just 1 prize card, and I think they still have 3 prize cards remaining. Yeah, so I felt pretty safe here just to take the knockout, take out the Pokemon they had in front of us that had the energy on it. And then in our last turn, we can just try and take out one of anything that sits in front of us and see what we can get to here. So they go with the Palkia. Wasn't sure if they were going to be able to evolve that again to a Palkia V-Star, which is 280 HP. And make me get creative with my final knockout. But luckily they put this Budew on the bench. So that was super kind of them. I wish they could have done that 2 prize cards ago and sped this game up a little bit quicker. But seeing that they put Budew down, I don't really need to do much else. I was checking my deck here with the Buddy Buddy Poffin to make sure Crobat was in there, which it was. And since Crobat is in the deck, we can go ahead and just Ciphermaniac that to the front. So I'll go with that, and then pick anything else for the second card. We can go ahead and just place our 30 damage on the bench. That actually takes 3 prize cards, and I only needed 1, so I'll take my extra credit. And that was it. That was a pretty fun game using Slowking. Oh hey, I didn't see you there. I was just doing some light reading and happened to have this microphone ready to go. Well, since you made it this far into the video, you must have liked something. Might as well hit that subscribe button and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. If we get to 1,000, we can maybe make some money off this channel and do some fun things like giveaways or give back to the people that make it this far into the video. Or I'll just keep all the money for myself. Who knows? Only one way to find out. Hit that button and we'll see you in the next one.